Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to this week's forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. This is Joshua Washington, Executive Director of the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. Welcome. Tag your friends, tag your neighbors, tell them to come join us. We're here for the next hour discussing a few things. In a little bit, I'm going to be joined by my co-host for this evening, IBSI's Speakers Bureau Chief and Board Member, Olga Mishwe Washington. She'll be joining me in just a little bit. So stick around for that. In the meantime, we're going to discuss a few things. I'm actually going to work backwards on our list. We're going to start with, but before we do that, just a few announcements. First of all, of course, that theme song you heard is called The First 7 Miles by Randy Sandoli. You can get that song and the entire album, which is entitled Simcha, on all streaming platforms. You should check it out. It's amazing. That's the first thing. Second thing, become a legacy builder. I'm wearing our legacy builder shirt today. Scan the QR code you see on the side of the screen. If you're watching on Instagram, go to ibsi.org and become a legacy builder. It's a monthly amount that you can set up to give. I've always challenged people to give at least $18 a month. And your donations help us continue to do the very important work that we do in Black, Jewish, Africa, Israel solidarity. So become a legacy builder. Some dates. So we have a couple of things happening on February 10th. So first of all, February 10th and 11th, our CEO and founder, Dumisani Washington, will be speaking in Hampton, Georgia at the Agape International Ministries at their Israel Summit 2024. That's February 10th and 11th. So if you are in or near Hampton, Georgia, you definitely want to register. Go to ibsi.org/dates. Also on February 10th, if you are in Charlotte, just about 4 hours north of Atlanta, if you're in Charlotte, North Carolina on February 10th as well, myself, my wife, our Speakers Bureau Chief, and a lot of other community members are taking part in what's called Charlotte Stands with Israel concert. That's happening on February 10th. So February 10th, both Georgia and North Carolina, we got some stuff going on. If you're near any of those areas, come out. There'll be some amazing music by different performers from the community, including myself, and there's a couple of new original pieces that I've written specifically for this event. And then we have other artists who've also written pieces for this event as well. It's going to be a beautiful night of music. So February 10th and 11th in Hampton, Georgia, and then also February 10th in Charlotte. February 25th, I will be in Miami. I'll be in Miami. Shout out to Miami, Florida, with Sarah Akiba. We will be talking about Black and Jewish solidarity. The event's called Where We've Come From, Where We're Going. We're going to have a really great conversation. It's a live podcast. It's going to be lots of fun. So if you're in Miami, if you're near, if you have friends there, text them, tag them, tell them to come, tell them to register. Again, ibsi.org/dates, and you can see our events. Register and come out. I would love to meet you. I would love to chat with you while I'm there. All right. And then the last thing is we are in our campaign now. It is February the 5th. It is now day 5 of our 100K in 29 days campaign. So for the rest of this month, we are pushing to reach this goal of $100,000 in 29 days. We have raised a significant amount now. We have a lot of donors who gave even the day before it started, which has been a blessing. If you have not done so yet, please go to that campaign. Help us to reach 100,000. We have, as you've seen, we have lots more. We have lots of events coming up, lots of engagements, lots of programming, educational events, events where we get to actually engage with people, events on certain venues, college, some campuses, synagogues, churches, forums, all those types of things. And you definitely don't want to miss it. And also, we need funds to make that happen. So please, if you have not yet, go to our website and give to our 100K in 29 days campaign. All right. So let's talk about this for a second. Our CEO was with you last week, and he touched on this, and he's actually working on an article. It's a paid. Coming up in our IBSI Substack. Which, if you're not subscribed to our Africa Israel Weekly, go and subscribe to that. Become a paid subscriber, because we have a lot of paid content. This article that our CEO is writing is probably going to be. It's probably right now, at least, one of the most important article that's coming out of IBSI right now. This is a paid subscription article. So if you want to read it, you have to become a paid subscriber. Do that. And I just, what I want to do right now first is start with a tweet that our CEO made a couple of days ago. And if you have that, Ray, go ahead and put that tweet up. And then we're just going to discuss this. So he said, let's be clear. In parentheses, progressive Black pastors who promoted Black Lives Matter while ignoring BLM's Jew hatred, just like the vast majority of their Jewish counterparts did, are the ones demanding a ceasefire in Gaza and letting Hamas off the hook. Leftist politics are all fun and games until they come for you. And then he said IBSI's op-ed, which is premium, it drops in the next couple of days. And then in the next tweet underneath it says, I think he said something like, not many are going to like it. And for those who've been following us, and if you followed us for any length of time, you've heard us say some of these things before, and our CEO is going to really go in depth with this article, because we have all the receipts. We have all the receipts from all the way back from 2013, 2014. Okay, 2013 is when BLM rose to prominence, or it's when they came onto the scene, right? But they really rose to prominence after the killing of Mike Brown in Ferguson. That's when BLM really took a big stage, and it was literally just it wasn't too long after that, just a few weeks into the protests, is when we started seeing stuff like from Ferguson to Palestine. We started seeing stuff, Israel, we know you kill unarmed men or people too, all that kind of stuff. And from the beginning, we said, okay, we already weren't jiving with BLM because of the other methods that they had, some of the other platforms that they took, and that's another issue. There are positions that they held where they claimed to speak for the Black community that we already knew, and we said before that the majority of the Black community, or many of the Black community, do not agree with these views. They pushed them anyway. And then, as things unfolded over the years, we had, data receipts. We had stats saying, like, for instance, the whole defund the police issue. We had receipts. Stats were saying over 80% of Black Americans were not for defunding the police. And we knew that. That there are things that we knew just because, we're not, it's not like we're geniuses or anything, but just, we grew up in certain areas. We know people, we talk to people, it's just, that's the talk, right? But BLM purported to speak for Black America. One of the things that we noted from kind of the beginning of it, and what we peeped, was that when we would call out Black Lives Matter, the pushback that we received was almost never from other Black people or people who supported Black Lives Matter. Never. Almost never. What I mean by that is, when we would call out BLM, we would just say what they were saying, right? Black Lives Matter took a position against the nuclear family, against the Black father. They were against entrepreneurialism. So it wasn't just Israel. They had these positions that I was like, this is not something that Black people support. And then they started doing the whole Ferguson to Palestine. It's okay, this is not only is it not what Black people support, it's a game. Then we started seeing, okay, this is where their funding is coming from. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. Where is it going? Who is bankrolling them? Like all that stuff. We said, no, this is not right. Right. This isn't an authentic movement. the pushback that we got was not really from BLM Black people, because their thing was, yeah, that's what we're saying. As a matter of fact, I just a couple of weeks ago, even I tweeted something and I screenshot it and put on Instagram, and my tweet was basically, newsflash to my Jewish brothers and sisters. We keep using this language saying that we're disappointed in Black Lives Matter or they betrayed us. They were never on your side from the beginning. And they were, to their credit, they've been very clear about that. And I got a couple of reposts from anti-Israel BLM leaders, like people. They retweeted. I don't know if they knew that, I'm a Zionist, but they saw that tweet and they said, "Yep, we were never on y'all's side." There are people who don't like me for anything, right? Who hate IBSI, they saw my tweet and they retweeted it because they were like, yes, what he's saying is correct. We've always been clear about standing against Israel. We've always been clear about standing against values that you got. I don't know, what do you mean disappointed? When did we give you the impression that we advocated for a strong Black Jewish, like, when did we give you the impression that we were pro-Israel? When did we give you the impression that we were for you? And I was like, I saw that. I was like, wow, I'm getting retweeted by BLM people. So we knew from the beginning. We didn't get pushback from them because they would see our stuff and say, yeah, that's what we said. We've written articles upon articles just documenting what they said, right? Just documenting what the former founder said. We're trained Marxists. Wow. They were like, yeah, yes. They say that Israel's an apartheid state. Yes. In their charter for Black Lives, they go all in about Israel committing genocide. They're like, yes, 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 and yes, that's what we do. So I didn't understand this. We are disappointed. What are you disappointed in? They didn't hide. So the pushback we got was from other white people, primarily, not even primarily, white, left-leaning, white liberal, white leftist people. And unfortunately, our Jewish brothers and sisters in the Zionist space, right? Not the anti-Israel. We always get flack from the anti-Israel, everyone, Jews, blacks, whites. But I'm talking about within the pro-Israel space, within the Israel advocacy space, the most pushback we received was from people in our space, right? People who with whom we shared a space, saying things like, you don't understand because BLM is about this and this and this, and it's not our turn right now. So sometimes it was even an acknowledgement that, yeah, what they say about Israel is problematic. Yeah, the fact that the head of the chapter in LA is Melina Abdullah, who was like a Farrakhan follower, but it's not our turn right now. Yes, at the DC rally, a guy stood up and said all this stuff about Israel, but it's not our turn right now. Yes, they march down the streets and they say from Ferguson to Palestine, and they wave the Palestinian flag all over the place and yell intifada, intifada. But it's not our turn. It's not our turn, and we just got to let them have this. And from the get-go, we were like, first of all, don't infantilize us, because that's what you're doing. What you're saying is, let the Black people, let the children, Black people have their moment of temper tantrums, right? Go ahead and let all their stuff. Go ahead and let them burn their stuff down. Go ahead and let them burn their own buildings down. Go ahead and let them do all that stuff because they're angry, and we understand their anger. It's not our turn. Okay, so by the time you get to October 8th, 9th, when BLM Chicago posted that graphic of the paraglider and said, "We stand with Palestine," I'm sorry, but I didn't understand the clutching of pearls. I was like, you guys, they've been like this. They've had multiple opportunities to condemn Hamas over the years since 2013, and they haven't. Of course, they're gonna say they support October 7th, because that is the agenda of BLM. BLM is not an authentically Black movement. It may have Black people in it who support it, but it's not a thing, you guys. But again, we've been saying this from the beginning. The pushback we got were so now talking about what's happened with the pastors, what we see is the whole thing. Let's not look at this in a box, you guys. Let's not look at this in a myopic one thing at a time. I said it before, there's so much information, sometimes we forget certain things. No, let's look at the whole thing. Before these black pastors came out and called for a ceasefire and condemned Israel, you had black, white, Jewish, rich people signing off on, supporting, and defending BLM because that was the trend to do. And coming against us for saying, no, that's not cool. I've told the story once before, I'll tell it again. There was a lady who messaged IBSI once on the Facebook page. And I don't usually check IBSI's Facebook Messenger, but I just happened to see it pop up. And she said, "Hi, thank you so much for what you guys are doing. And I just want to know, is there any way that, that I can help with the Black community? I want to help the Black community." We said, "Well, we partner with organizations that are Black led and like Black organizations like Pastor Corey Brooks, Project Hood, right? Helping others obtain destiny. If you guys never heard of Project Hood, look it up and support the amazing work that Pastor Corey is doing in Chicago." We pointed them to Dr. Bob Woodson and the Robert Woodson Center. Amazing work. We had a couple. We have these here. There's organizations you can look up, you can support. They do the real work. They work with these young men. They teach them how to be men. They raise them up. I would even, at the time, I wasn't aware of him, but Randall King, that they do work that really actually makes a difference in these young men's lives. And so supporting them would be huge. And so I responded with that. And then she wrote back and said, well, so no. I want to march. Like, where are the marches? Like, where can I go and march? That's what I want to do. I want to be able to stand in solidarity, like that in marching. I went, so I responded and said, okay, well, we don't really do that. I mean, BLM is doing a lot of marching, but they don't really speak for the Black community. They actually advocate against some of the things that the other organizations I just listed for you are trying to push. And for us, we don't really participate in that much because we know it doesn't really do much right now. There are other. If you want to really do something, here are the organizations that I listed. You could really be making a difference by helping them. And then she said, "I didn't recognize this was a right-wing organization. Never mind." I kid you not. I was like, some of your faces are probably right now. I was like, how did you get right-wing from we don't really march, but you can connect with these organizations? Okay, but this was the case across the board. Let's see, Pastor Matrilla Hall, she said, "As a Christian pastor, I've never been for BLM. I keep saying it's a distraction for destruction." Yes, ma'am. Pastors need to remember we are leaders, not followers. Yes, ma'am. Pastor Hall, absolutely, ma'am. And this is the thing, actually. Pastor Matrilla Hall represents a huge number. It wasn't like Black America was duped and then no. There was a huge number from the beginning of Black Americans who were not down with BLM. Primarily people who were in those local cities where those marches took place, who actually lived there. They were like, in Kenosha, in Chicago, they were like, we don't want our stuff burned down. These people who are doing this stuff aren't even from here. These are white kids, even some Black kids from gated neighborhoods who come here, burn stuff down, and then go back to their gated neighborhoods, and we have to deal with the fallout. Right? We highlighted a couple of times a man who was murdered in, I think it was 2014, named Darren Seals, who lived in Ferguson, who from the beginning was like, who are these people? They don't live here. I've lived here all my life. And he got into an altercation with one of the BLM leaders, pimp slapped him and everything. And he took to social media and he was like, this is a fake movement. I've never seen these people before. I've been doing work in this community. Me and my colleagues have been here for since forever. And these people come in here, start stuff and riot and all this. He was livid. But he is representative of so many others in so many communities. The Black Americans, the Black people who live in Oakland, California, no, they weren't for this. The black people who lived in Chicago, why would you be for that? Because you wake up the next morning, there's nothing around you. No, that's not. And defunding the police, please. The NAACP Oakland chapter, we talked about this before, time and again. They put out a statement calling for a state of emergency. They said this defund the police campaign has devastated our communities even more so than it already has been. They can't even get inside the city council building to meet with their officials. But what do the officials want to have hours and hours and hours long hearing about? Israel. So it's a game. It's a game like BLM is a game. But we saw the game from the beginning. This is not a I told you so, I told you so, right? I remember when some people like Candace Owens, when stuff started coming out, she was like, everyone who came against me owes me an apology. No, that's not, we're not coming at it like that. It's not about us. We're not asking for people to come and apologize. What we're saying is, you see, do you see now? Do you see? So when the Chicago chapter did the paraglider thing, do you see that? When BLM is routinely silent, because that's par for the course, on the oppression of the black Gazans in Gaza, the Afro-Palestinians in Gaza, when Hamas brutally murdered and videotaped themselves murdering that Tanzanian student, Joshua Molito, they said nothing. Do you see it now? They have never been for you, and they never will be. You cannot redeem something that has never been in the right place in the first place, and that doesn't want to be. For my Christians watching this, the prodigal son, he had to first come back to the father first, and then the father embraced him, right? The father didn't go into the pig slop and pull him out. You cannot redeem something that doesn't want to be redeemed, and you can't redeem something whose foundation, its very foundation is wrong. You cannot redeem something whose foundation is crumbling from the beginning. BLM can't be redeemed because there's nothing to redeem it to. It started as a Marxist, anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-black family, anti-nuclear family, anti-school choice, anti-Israel, anti-Jewish organization from the beginning. And one of the things that was so telling, again, this isn't a personal thing. I'm using this to illustrate something. Okay, I want you to stay with me here. And that is, not only did people come against IBSI for calling out BLM, and again, it was mostly non-black people. It was mostly white leftists and our Jewish friends in the Israel advocacy space who thought that maybe if we, acquiesce to them, then they'll, we'll build an allyship. And I was like, that's good luck. That's not going to work. One of the things of many things that was said, whether directly to IBSI or implying IBSI, were things like people who were really wanting to support BLM. And when I say people, I mean people who are over large organizations. Really wanted to support BLM, really wanted to platform BLM. You had these pro-Israel organizations platforming BLM leaders, right? And I was like, oh, okay, go ahead. And one of the things that was said, and I won't say who said it, maybe one day we will, is that it's important to, showcase and highlight authentic black voices. That's why we need to highlight BLM. And this is not a black person. So I was like, so you know what an authentic black voice is? Or what you're saying is it's important to highlight the voices that we think are going to help us get ahead. That's what is meant by what was said. The problem is everyone has the problem is that it's just a lot of people have their own agendas, which is why we can't seem to fully move forward. If everyone was about the truth and no one cared about likes and subscribes and shares and going viral and not getting canceled, we would have snuffed BLM out a long time ago, and there wouldn't be an issue right now. But we did it. So I don't know if Olga's been backstage. If she is, you can pull her up, Maria. But if not, I'm gonna keep on going. But yes, you guys, that is what's been happening. So that's the article that's coming out. It's a paid article. It's a premium article, meaning you have to subscribe. I'm going to pause and say this. Please subscribe to IBSI Substack. And if you are subscribed as a free subscriber, become a paid subscriber. It's very, very cheap per month, but it helps us greatly. Our subscription base has been growing quite a bit. And we have some paid subscribers. If half of our subscribers switched over to paid, it would really help as we continue to push throughout this year. We have a lot of stuff, and things are mounting even as we speak. As I was going live, I had 3 different emails pop down from my phone about different events throughout this year. I mean, it's there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of work to be done. And so if you're looking to support us, subscribe. Go to ibsi.substack.com or go to Africa Israel Weekly. If you go to our website, or if you're watching this, scan that QR code, join our Substack, subscribe, become a paid subscriber. All right. So that is what's going on right now, you guys. And so when it comes to the pastors, those black pastors who came together and called for a ceasefire and accused Israel of XYZ, yes, we will call it. We've always called it out, and we will continue to call that out. Just like we continue to call out Farrakhan, Nation of Islam, the radical Hebrew Israelites, all that stuff. Absolutely. But we cannot. What we're not going to do is scapegoat one group or one person as if they are the cause for all the Jew hatred. We have to look at this whole thing. We have to look at both the people who are perpetrating this stuff, and we have to look at the people who are supporting those people. Look at the people who are supposed to be speaking up, who are being silent about it. We have to call out the people who are embracing the ideology of those people, right? Otherwise, we won't be able to fix this. Otherwise, it's a dog and pony show. Someone just said, "Can you speak of what happened today? A Jewish man walking in Chicago, beaten up in front of a video." But I didn't hear about that story. I'm not sure what you want me to address with that, except just to say that that's happening all over the country, different parts of the world. This was happening in 2021 when Israel was at war with Hamas. Jews, not just Israelis, not even just Zionists, Jews were being attacked all over the world, in Canada, in LA, in Philly, in New York. I mean, in New York, it has always been happening in New York. Oh, it didn't happen today. If you're talking about that, I actually know the man that you're talking about in Chicago who was beaten up. Is a friend of a very, very good friend of ours in Chicago. So yes, I did hear about that. If you're talking about that, but yes, there were Jews in Canada chased home, girls who were sexually assaulted. In 2021, there'd be people in LA speaking Hebrew to each other at a coffee shop, and then they would just get accosted by pro Hamas supporters. This was already happening in 2021. In the UK, there were a couple of Arab guys with a megaphone saying, "Kill the Jews, rape their daughters, kill the Jews, rape their mothers." That was 2 years before October 7th, before they killed a bunch of Jews and raped a bunch of daughters. I mean, that's so yeah, that's what's been going on. Again, so we have to look at the full scope of this thing, right? How is BLM at such a platform where they can do the whole paraglider thing and it make waves? Well, because a lot of us were duped and a lot of us supported it because it was such a trending thing at the time. We didn't want to catch ourselves not trending. And here's the thing about trends, you guys. Here's the thing about peer pressure. You feel pressure to say and do something you don't feel comfortable with until it's not the thing anymore. Now, more and more people are comfortable saying BLM is a sham. The only problem is it's too late. See, it doesn't really count. It counts a lot less, I should say. It counts a lot less to tell the truth when it's easy. It doesn't cost you much. It's easy to say that Nazis are terrible, right? That's easy. It wasn't as easy to say when Nazi Germany was the power, was a global power, right? It wasn't as easy to say when Hitler was in power. It wasn't. You can say it now. It's easy now to say, if I was a slave back then, I wouldn't do none of the stuff they asked me to do. Fool, yes, you would. You absolutely would. Don't if slavery existed back then, if slavery existed today, you would do exactly what you would do. If slavery existed back then and you were alive back then, you would do exactly then what you'd be doing now. And what are we doing now in the midst of modern day slavery? Nothing. We're complaining about slavery that happened centuries ago. So don't say that I would do this, I would do that. Don't say no. That's not true. It's not true. So yes, back then when BLM was all the rage, the NBA had it on their basketball court, and elementary school teachers were teaching. They're still doing it now, and it was just accepted as normal. If you watch a video on YouTube, you get a YouTube ad about BLM. Every BLM, which is everywhere, painted here, hashtag big giant murals on concrete in major cities like Charlotte, all over the place. So yes, it's harder then to say, yeah, but they suck because they don't actually represent Black people, because I know I'm in the Black community. I know just people in my own community who are like, yeah, that's whack. You go to a church, you go to a barbershop, you hear these conversations, you know that they don't actually represent the vast majority of Black people. Yeah, but if I say it, people are gonna be mad. And that was the thing. It's not, don't say that it's not true. I don't believe you, right? At least you're standing on something. It's, yes, we know it's true, but please don't say it because we don't want to anger people. Yeah, I know it's true. Please don't say it because we don't want to get canceled. Yeah, we know it's true, but if you say that, people are not going to feel good, and it's going to make a whole kind of thing and whatever. That's cowardice. That is cowardice. So now, of course, everyone can say, "Oh, BLM is all that." Yeah, of course, because it's not a hot trend. It's not as trending as it was anymore. So it's easy. You guys, we need to remember this when we see it again. I don't care how many millions and millions of people are saying that they're for it. If you look at this and you know it's full of crap, you need to say that's full of crap. I'm sorry, it's full of crap. Someone said, why doesn't BLM address the Islamist threat against Africans in Africa? Because they don't care about it. They don't care. They don't care about Africans. They don't care about Black Americans. They don't care. They care about their own agenda. That's why they haven't addressed it. When everyone says, where's BLM? They are where they've always been. BLM is where they've always been. Where's BLM? Right over there where they were in 2013. BLM is standing in the exact same place they were in 2013. And we've been saying that since 2013. So they don't care. They've never cared. They never will care. It doesn't matter what you say. They're not actually for Black people. You can't reason with BLM leaders by saying, well, these are Black people. They actually don't care. That's the whole point. It's a Trojan horse. It's fake. All right. So I think we have a little bit of technical difficulties. So I hopefully Olga will join us before this is over. But if not, then I mean we can kind of finish talking about a couple of things like we're going to talk about. Now, someone commented on Instagram, I wasn't sure about BLM years ago, so I went and looked and read their whole charter. And okay, it was fair and good. Then I realized about 4 months ago how anti-Semitic they were and that they hate Jews. I'm going to push back on that and even say, no, their charter wasn't fair and good. I mean, it seemed like it. This is the thing. It wasn't just that BLM was bad for Israel and bad for Jews. BLM was bad for the Black community. In their charter, they talk about how the nuclear family needs to be dismantled. What? In their charter, they talk about how school choice is a threat, and parents shouldn't have the parents shouldn't be able to freely choose the education for their children. Are you really? And you're saying that in a time where homeschooling amongst Black families has skyrocketed in the past 10, 15 years. And you're saying, no, that's bad. You're saying we need to defund the police. That's not supported by the majority of Black people. So you are no, that's the thing. It's bad in general. It wasn't that they were all good except for the Jewish part. No, the Jewish part and everything else, they were way off center. Way off center. We got to get that in our spirits, you guys. BLM has never been good for us. BLM will never be good for us, and we need to stop looking to them as if they will be. So, now let's shift gears just for a moment, because if Olga does get on, I do want her to share with you guys where she's been. She's been traveling. She was just in Israel again, and all that stuff. So that's awesome. But before we do that, I want to turn your attention again. If you are tuning in just recently, you guys, we are in it's the end of day 5. So we're about to start day 6 of our 100K in 29 days campaign. We are going strong already, which has been a blessing. We are trying to get to $100,000 by the end of Black History Month. We now have 24 days left. If you have not given yet, or even if you've given already, please give again, or please give for the first time. Help us to reach the goal. You can go to ibsi.org, or if you're watching this on your social media platforms, you see the QR code up in the corner. If you are on Instagram, ibsi.org, and you can donate. Help us get to 100K by the end of February, by February 29th. We would appreciate it. Thank you so much. There's so many things that we have coming up, not just events, but in terms of content, curriculum, and trips. We're still working on trips to Israel, trips to African countries, and to continue the stuff that we're doing. Obviously, we had to take a little bit of a pause after October 7th, but rest assured, we have not stopped. We are still doing lots of great work, and you'll also be able to see some of our ambassadors and some of our upcoming content that we have coming up. Our IBSI ambassadors who have been doing great work. We've been working with them step by step, which is a big component of our ambassador program, which is not just taking them to Israel or taking them to South Africa and then Israel, but it's been these past couple of years now of working with them, discussing with them, teaching, and then, yes, the trips, and then post trips, actually helping them to cultivate this as a part of their advocacy, as a part of their expertise in the work that they do in their own respective fields to affect their communities and affect their circles in a very authentic way. So please give. All right. So I'm going to turn your attention. Because last Monday, our CEO, this is before he went to, our CEO was traveling a little bit. He went to New York and DC, and he got to meet with different people. One of the places he got to meet with Israelis, and the other one he got to meet with Africans. And with the Nigerians, he was with our good friend Charles Jacobs of Americans for Peace and Tolerance, or I Abolish, iabolish.org. Look that up. Charles Jacobs is a modern day abolitionist in the very real sense. And one of the things that our CEO shared with us, I'll just share one thing that he shared, was maybe two, but a common thread between our African brothers and sisters and our Israeli brothers and sisters. One is this, family members missing, people killed, and their countries are mourning and in turmoil right now. And so one of the things that our CEO noted was just that you almost had like the same kind of look on their faces, right? It's just, there's so much happening. And one of the common threads is that the world couldn't really care less, right? The world is condemning Israel for fighting a war with Hamas that Hamas started. Essentially, this is a war, and everyone's acting as though Israel's just going over there bombing Gaza for no reason and not trying to defend itself against rockets and against Hamas attacks, and also try to get their hostages back. But everyone has moved on from October 7th as if it happened 100 years ago. And the same thing's happening in Nigeria. No one cares. One of the Nigerian women shared with my father and the people in the room is that Boko Haram and the Fulani herdsmen are closing in on the rest of the country, right? They used to be in pockets and now it's spreading like wildfire. And they're scared because they don't know what to do. And again, these are the same Islamists, these are the same terrorists who have the same financial backing, who have the same ideology that constantly comes after Israel, that committed October 7th. It's the same mindset, it's the same connection, it's the same people. The same peoples, like the same, like there's a kinship, right? There's a thing, there's a thread that connects them. Africa's enemies are Israel's enemies, and Israel's enemies are Africa's enemies. Period. And among the very many things that does bind Africa and Israel, unfortunately, terrorism of this kind is one of those things that does it. So there's something bigger going on here, you guys, than just the conflict, right? There's something bigger going on here than the talking points, the anti-Israel talking points, and then the combating of those talking points with the truth, right? There is, we've said this before, I won't say it again. Israel's on the front lines right now of a battle against tyranny that seeks to spread all over the world. That same tyranny is all over Africa. The countries that haven't had those type of terrorist attacks yet, it's not because the terrorists aren't there. It's just because they hasn't happened yet. One of the things that my father-in-law, Reverend Kenneth Mishwe, who's the president of the African Christian Democratic Party in South Africa, the ACDP, this man founded the party. This man was a part of drafting the constitution in South Africa after apartheid fell. He's seen some things, right? He's been in government now for decades. One of the things that he's said, and he said multiple times, is that just like in a lot of different African countries, you have so many immigrants from, whether it's Pakistan, other Arab countries, who are there. They set up shop. They have lots of children. They grow over the years, but they have no interest in integrating with the broader society. And that same racist mentality, if you listen to my podcast episode, the JW Show with Noah Shufutinsky or Westside Gravy, we talk about it. There is culturally this very anti-African mentality in the Arabs that goes all the way back to the slave trade of the 7th century that hasn't stopped today. You still have slaves in Libya and Nigeria and Mauritania and Sudan and Algeria, right? You still have Arabs trading Africans. This has not stopped. It's been going on for centuries. That mentality, that supremacist mentality, persists. And what my father-in-law told us was the only reason why there hasn't been an attack like you've seen in other countries is because there hasn't been the signal given to do that yet. But just like the same concern in other countries, including this one, including the U.S., of just illegal immigrants, men, young men, fighting age, no women, no children coming into these countries. The concern is, okay, what is why? And my father-in-law said, yeah, it's coming because we're not prepared for it. And Israel is on the front lines of this push, this fight. And we're at a tipping point right now. We said it before, and I'll keep saying it because it is something that we have to really shake ourselves out of this psychological hold that I think has successfully gripped the country, which says that we can't say anything bad about Islam, we can't say anything bad about Arabs, we can't say anything bad about any people or minority group that's deemed, more oppressed or whatever. We have to be people of the truth, and that whether that truth condemns white people, black people, Arab people, Jewish people, Muslim people, Asian people, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. But while we clam up, even in the Israel advocacy space, there's only so far we'll go sometimes. We won't say certain things, so we don't want to upset people. Guess what? The other side does not care about not upsetting people. They got their agenda and they're going full steam ahead. And one of the things that's being used is communities like mine, Black Lives Matter, social justice movements, whatever it is that that has the pulse of the country. That's what's being used. Now, yes, someone just said that. Yes, that's what I just said. Absolutely. So this is a fight against what we see in other African countries could be us. The mass slavery and all that stuff. You guys, this is not just whatever makes you feel good and you just want to say the thing that just like a BLM and everything. There are people right now who are waving the Palestinian flag and saying free Palestine just because everyone around them is doing it, and that's it. It's a dangerous place to be. Dangerous place to be. Dangerous. So we have to be on the right side of history, guys. Now, I want to pause for just a second because people have been commenting. I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone's questions. If you guys have a question or anything, then please put it in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer. What someone said, what do they offer the people of these turning countries that make them turn against their own best interest? What do they offer people of these turning countries that make them turn against their own best interest? If you're asking about like people, like for instance, in this country, Americans, well, this is something that we've been talking about for a while too. This indoctrination didn't just happen last year or 2 years ago. The indoctrination of kids on college campuses, for instance, it's been a thing since the 60s. I said this before. I remember watching. Now, The Wonder Years is an old show. It was an old show when I was a kid, right? It was a show that was, I think it was a new show when my mom was a kid. It came out in the 60s, but it was, or maybe it came out in the 70s. I can't remember. I was supposed to look this up, but it was based a couple of decades before that, right? And in that show, in that series, it was told from the perspective of the youngest child. And, he was narrating as an adult, but he was narrating and telling us, as a kid. And he has, it came out, thank you. So it came out in the 80s, but it was set in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. And Kevin, that's his name, the youngest child, it was told from his perspective. He had an older brother and an older sister. And the sister, who was the oldest, she always had this kind of animosity towards her father, who was a war veteran, right? And she was kind of like a bleeding heart, kind of like 60s version of a liberal. But the thing was, occasionally in certain episodes, the last time I saw The Wonder Years, I think I was in my 20s. So I was a little older and I was able to understand some things. She would say some things that were pretty pro-communist sometimes. She would say some things that were like, wow, that's kind of, and I said, okay, what this show is highlighting is that kind of Marxist indoctrination was already starting in high schools and colleges in the 60s. What we're seeing now is just an application of the ideology. So when we embrace BLM because it looks sexy at the time, we're not allowed to clutch our pearls when BLM says we love the paragliders, free Palestine. They told us they were going to do it when they told us that ACAB, that all cops are bastards, right? They told us this when they said defund the police and screw school choice and screw the nuclear family and we don't need black fathers. They're telling you already we're trying to unravel society. So if you're cool with all that and then you go, oh my gosh, you can't say free Palestine. That's it. Yes, they can. They've been doing that. They've been free Palestine in all this time. But now you don't like it because it's in your territory. Just like those celebrities that said, yeah, burn all that stuff down. And that same celebrity, I remember this, was tweeted like a day later. Okay, y'all, it was the burning stuff down was coming closer and closer to his neighborhood. And he said, y'all got to keep that over there. Oh, now they got to stop burning stuff down because they might burn down your house. You were cool with them burning down the house you don't know. and the business that you don't know. But now that the destruction was making its way closer to you, now you want to say, don't do that. You guys, we can't speak truth when it's now we're affected by it. At the very least, don't say anything, but we can't capitulate to evil because we don't want to be the odd one out and it doesn't affect us, and then switch up when it affects us. That's not how that works. Yes, someone said, I think they get paid to do this. Yes, that's been proven now. We've been saying that for a long time too. Yes, these protesters who come out in mass numbers, especially in places like the UK, it's like 100,000 people, they get paid to do this. They get paid to post certain things. Every time they post things, they get paid money. There are people who don't actually even believe in this stuff, but they get paid to do it. Hamas has billions of dollars, and they have a whole propaganda wing. They have young Arab men and women who travel the world, and they push this stuff. That's where do you think their money is going, you guys? And how do you think propaganda works? Someone said, which organized groups do you think are behind the pro-Hamas protests and propaganda on college campuses? Which organized groups were behind? Well, it's not even a secret. So first of all, there are countries like Qatar. Our university, our American university system gets its curriculum, by and large, not every college, but a lot of our major universities get its curriculum and its funding from foreign countries. Now, tell me something. I'm not the smartest person, but wouldn't it be against your interest to get funding and curriculum from a foreign country to teach the young minds of your country? I mean, that would be like after World War II, which I guess that was what Operation Paperclip was, but America now hiring the Nazis to become college professors on our campuses. It's like, I don't think that's going to end like you think that's going to end, right? But a lot of our university funding comes from foreign countries like Qatar. And that's just Harvard, just a few years ago, hired the Joseph Goebbels of Gaza, Saeb Erekat, as one of their advisors to their students in a certain department in Harvard University. Right? We were all up in arms about Claudine Gay. How come we kind of just left the Saeb Erekat thing alone? Literally, this man is the chief propagandist of the Palestinian Authority, who's teaching and advising students at Harvard University. What? Yes, let's call out Sally Kornbluth and Claudine Gay, but holy moly, can we not stop? Can we have that same energy when the chief propaganda officer of the Palestinian Authority is advising students at Harvard? But this is what I mean. So, yes, absolutely. So, the thing is, yes, someone said Cleaver of the Black Panthers was anti-Israel, and then he changed his tune when he got older. Yes, we did a whole that was an early thing that we had discovered. I think it was back in 2013, actually, some newspaper stuff, and then we have a video up about that now that our CEO recorded about Eldridge Cleaver, who's a former Black Panther. He was their minister of information, and he spent 7 years in different countries. He visited Fidel Castro, who was his friend. He went to Algiers, and he saw the slavery of Black Africans. He saw the treatment of Black Africans. He came back and he said, again, now mind you, this is the 60s. He said, these Arabs are more racist than white people are to us. They're more backwards in their racism than white people are to us. And this was at the height of all this stuff that's going on. But see, the thing about it is, and this is something that we have to understand. If you're listening now, if you don't listen to anything else I'm saying, listen to this. It's not enough it wasn't enough that Eldridge Cleaver visited these countries and saw how Africans were treated. He had to already be in an honest place of wanting to learn, even if that honest place was on the wrong side of history. Eldridge Cleaver had to have already been in a place of, he's committed to communism because he really thinks that it works, but he wants to deepen it because you have to already be in an honest place. then you can be turned around. And that's where he went. So he was able to see those things and say, whoa. And he came back. It was complete 180. He was a strong Zionist. He's very pro-American. In our video that we just posted, you can see there's clips of him speaking about the being for the police. I mean, a complete departure from what he used to be. But you have to already have been Malcolm X. He was assassinated when he was 39, just like Dr. King. The last couple of years of his life, his tune was changing quite a bit. He was calling out the Nation of Islam because Nation of Islam was very vehemently against homosexuality. He was calling them out for having sex with young boys, having sex with underage girls. He was calling them out for all kinds of stuff. And that's when they were saying stuff about him. And Farrakhan put a fatwa out against Malcolm X and said what he does is deserving of death. And then he was killed. People say, oh, it was Farrakhan said that what Malcolm X did was deserving of death, and then Malcolm X was killed. I don't understand. That means he's responsible for that man's death. But you have to already be in an honest place. The problem now is that a lot of people are fake. They grift, right? They do what they do to make money. They do what they do for social media clout. They have so much pride that even if they're presented with something that would actually change their minds, they just ignore it. Why? Because I have to think this way because I need to. Not, I'm fully committed to this inwardly and I want to, but if someone showed me something that blew out of the water, then I would have to reevaluate. No one, everyone is in this place of this is my position because I have to have this as my position because I need to be my position, period. Simply taking those people to the same places that Eldridge Cleaver went to is not going to change their mind. Simply me, a black person, because so many people message me as a black person walking up to another anti-Israel black person and saying, you shouldn't say that, Israel is great. That's not going to change their mind, you guys. So when you message us and say, can you guys just go talk to him? That's not going to, we're coons and sellouts to them. We're porch monkeys to them. Like they don't like us. That's not how that works. You can't just get a black face to stand in front of another black face and say, this is what Dr. King said about Israel. They have to already be in an honest place. Even if that honest place has them on the wrong side of history, they're honestly standing there. That's true for everyone. They have to already be in a place. The Jewish sages say you have to be ready for the redemption, right? They have to be in a place where they're actually ready to receive that information. Otherwise, you're just casting pearls before swine. You're only making things worse. All right, so not to end on that note, you guys, it's been a lively discussion. I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. This has been our weekly forum on Africa, Israel, and Black America. I want to remind you, we are approaching day 6 of our 100K in 29 days campaign. You can help by donating, sharing it with your friends and family as well. Please share the link with your friends and family. If you like the work IBSI is doing, if you really appreciate it, for those who are watching now who message us and we appreciate it, take that link and send it to your friends and family and tell them to give to IBSI. Help us to reach $100,000 by the end of Black History Month, by the end of February. Please, we really appreciate it. Don't forget to go to ibsi.org/dates so you can see all the dates we have coming up. We're going to be all over the place in both Georgia and Charlotte on the same day. Then I'm going down to Miami. I'll even be in the Bay Area of California. If you want to know more about that, just message me because there's a special event that's happening there as well. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And then March the 3rd, it's not on our list yet, but we will be in Chicago with a very special Voices for Israel event. Lots of music there as well. We're partnering with so many cantors, so many other musicians. We're partnering with our good friend and dear friend, I should say, Peggy Shapiro. It's going to be amazing. So you guys mark your calendars, tell your friends, go to our website, check us out, donate to IBSI, become a legacy builder, and give monthly to IBSI. You see it, take your phones out right now, scan it, and set up not just a one time, set up something monthly right now, $18, and say, you know what, I'm going to commit $18 a month to IBSI because I love the work that they'll be doing. Hi, when you'll be in Miami, February 25th, Lindsay, I will be in Miami with Sarah Akiba. February 25th, go to ibsi.org/dates. And you will see that you can register. You have to register if you want to come. It's a podcast interview conversation, but it's live. And then I would love to meet you afterwards. So please, yeah, come out, tell your friends, tell your friends, tell your family, bring them out, and let's engage. Let's have a conversation, you guys. All right. Okay. Thank you all so very much. Really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you for helping us continue to foster and strengthen the relationship between Blacks and Jews in Africa and Israel with IBSI. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your week.